Hey everyone, it's Andy from Chronically Healthy Life giving you another episode of Fountain of Youth with Andy. Running a little late today. I had we've been having this ant problem around our house, and just waiting for the exterminator to come. And of course, they come not in the time window they promised. And they finally got here, got to figure it out, tell them where the ant problem is, so it's all taken care of. Luckily, it's outside and not inside the house. But it's getting hot here in Texas, and we wanted to make sure that those darn ants don't get inside the house, right? Anyways, like I committed, every week we're going to be doing a health tip to help you head towards your fountain of youth, for you to increase your longevity, to help you reverse your chronological age. And I am Andy Nam, with Chronically Healthy Life. I am a functional nutrition and longevity coach, and I'm all about helping people not just live longer, but more fruitful lives, more energy in their lives, more, so they have more time to spend time with their children, grandchildren, with their loved ones, and or maybe even to give more impact in the world, right? Because you can only do so much if you have your health. A lot of people think, they need to do all the hustling first, and then they take care of family. And the third thing is health. And what I believe is health should be the first thing that you should be taking care of. Second is your family and friends and loved ones. And then, of course, third should be your work, right? We really should be, spinning this around. Today, I really want to talk a little bit about sleep. And what people don't realize is sleep is one of the things that really govern your longevity. And when I'm talking about longevity, is not only will sleep help you live longer, but it can also give you better better brain health, better immune system, and better recovery, better hormones. There's so much we can do about sleep. So let's get right into it. First of all, you know, um, sleep is something that I started realizing maybe 3, 4 years ago. For me, it was all very easy for me to fall asleep. And a lot of people say, yeah, I can fall asleep in the car. I fall asleep easily when I go to bed, and I get 8 hours of sleep. And everyone says, oh, you need 8 hours of sleep and you're good. Well, the thing is, it's not about the length of your sleep, but more of the quality of your sleep. Like, how deep is your sleep? Are you getting into REM sleep? Are you dreaming? Because if you're not dreaming, your body's not actually getting into that relaxed state, where your body's actually repairing itself. And when you do get into deep sleep, it releases growth hormones, which is so important because that is your body's natural way towards anti-aging, right? And when you're sleeping and you're rested, it starts clearing away a lot of this amyloid plaque. And you hear about that all the time with people with dementia or with Alzheimer's, and they say, oh, there's amyloid plaque buildup, and that's why you're getting all these brain problems, right? And guess what? If you're sleeping, deep sleep, restful sleep, your body will actually clear this amyloid plaque. Another reason why, deep sleep is so important. And, the funny thing is, I get so many people come up to me, and even there's some high performers out there like Elon Musk. I love Elon Musk. And even Elon Musk and some of these people say they can get it by with only 4 hours of sleep. And of course, there are these exceptional people that probably can get by with that, like Elon, right? But for most people, studies show if you only get 5 to 6 hours of sleep, for those that claim that's all they need, studies show with 5 to 6 hours of sleep, it's the equivalent of driving drunk. It's like, basically, or equivalent of taking some sleep drugs. Like, you are just not sharp, you're not on top of your game. So it's really, really important to not only get the longer length of sleep, which is about 7 to 8 hours for most people, but to have deep sleep, right? And a lot of studies show that when you don't get this restful deep sleep, once you start getting deprived, um, your telomeres. We talked about telomeres last week with Alavita. If you missed it, make sure you check my last episode last week while we're talking about the length of telomeres and depending on how long your telomeres are is basically how young or old you are, and as your telomeres get shorter, you are aging faster than your actual age. And there's studies showing that if you don't get enough sleep, it actually shortens your telomere. So here's another way: you don't get enough sleep, you're actually aging faster than you should be aging, and that's a problem, right? Another thing is when you're not getting enough sleep, your body's not repairing itself. Your body's not taking advantage of all the stem cells that your body creates throughout the day, regardless if it is just naturally, which declines over time, or if we have it elevated with some help with the X39 patches. You want sleep to take advantage of the cellular regeneration, or you're going to be having faster cellular aging. Like your body's not going to be able to repair itself. And then, of course, studies have shown that people with less sleep, like I said, like driving drunk, that's what it feels like. You have risk of cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, not enough sleep, your immune system, your digestive system isn't working as well. Because when you're sleeping, that's when your body is taking in those nutrients, breaking it down, and assimilating for your body for repair, right? And if you don't get enough sleep, guess what? Your body's not going to be able to take in the food, take in the nutrition, and repair. So people actually gain weight when you don't have enough sleep. Isn't that funny? You would think that, if you sleep more, you hibernate, you be a bear, you'd be actually gaining weight. But if you don't get enough sleep, you can actually gain weight. And of course, there's a lot of studies that if you don't have enough sleep, there's actually even higher chances of heart attacks, So I think sleep is sort of like the Swiss Army knife of your health. You fix more things by improving it than almost anything else, right? Just to sleep just helps so many things throughout your body that we don't even think about. It's not a matter about just closing your eyes and getting some rest. Sleep's so important. Now, I know a lot of people out there, they may be having problems with sleep, right? And they may be taking some medication, right? I don't want to call out any medication names out there, but the people out there who's taking sleeping pills, you know who you are. And I'm talking about medication. I'm not talking about supplements like melatonin, right? But when you start taking medication, you really want to start asking yourself, why are you having problems with sleep in the first place that you need medication, right? Because when you're requiring medication to go to sleep, it really isn't addressing the root problem. And that's what I do. As a functional nutrition longevity coach, we dive into the hard questions. Why aren't you sleeping, right? Is it because you have a frenetic mind and you're always thinking crazy thoughts and just can't let go of what happened during the day? Or is there actually something going on in your body that's not preventing, that's preventing you from going to sleep? Or maybe there's environmental things that is causing you not to sleep. Rather than just relying on drugs to help you go to sleep, we should look into that. But before we dive into those, let's talk about what some of these side effects of drugs are, right? Because medication, in my mind, at the end of the day, they're all toxins. Just take a look at the potential adverse side effects. And these are side effects that can happen to your body. And everyone is slightly different. But, the first worst side effect that I know of for people that go on sleeping medication is addiction, right? You basically will not be able to sleep naturally anymore unless you're taking sleeping medication. Ding, ding, ding. Who's making money there, right? Big pharma, right? They want you addicted on these things. And that's something that's a big problem because any drugs out there, I don't care what it is, some of them may help you in the short term, but in the long term, they're all toxic. They're all chemicals your body's not meant to have inside. And the more you have it, the more it builds up over time, the more it's going to get your body to have toxins build up. It builds up in your kidneys, it builds up in your liver. And at some point, your body's not going to be able to detox these chemicals. And that's when all chronic conditions and diseases can develop, right? Another thing that if you're relying on sleeping aids to sleep, is a lot of people notice they may have brain fog because you're not actually getting rest. It's just knocking you out. So you're not actually getting the deep sleep. You're not going into REM sleep, right? And it really disrupts your neurotransmitters. So your brain chemicals aren't even working properly. And over time, you're either going to have to need to take more and more medication because your body gets so used to the drugs, you rebound back into insomnia. You're not going to be able to sleep anymore unless you take more of it, or they prescribe you a stronger drug. And that is something that we should all be aware of, is when it comes to our health and longevity, we shouldn't be relying on medication to live longer. Medication at the end of the day is just band-aids to fix a problem during the time. And once that problem is taken care of, we should be off the medication. And of course, remember, I'm a functional nutrition and longevity coach. I am not a doctor. So if you are on any medication at all, I am not advising anyone to go cold turkey off the medication. That is very dangerous. Always work with your doctor to address the concerns. Just tell them, hey, I'm concerned about the side effects. I'm concerned about what long-term effects this can affect on my health. Can we work together to minimize the medication so I don't need it anymore? Talk to your doctor. Most doctors, if they are willing to work with you, they are partners in health with you, right? They're not responsible for your health. You're responsible for your health. So they are working together with you to reach your health goals. Now, when it comes to natural ways to sleep, and I'm sure most people heard about this all the time, but stop eating 3-4 hours before you sleep. Most people say 1-2 hours, but I honestly think if you're gonna eat 1-2 hours, it better be something light, fruit, maybe a piece of dark chocolate, right? Something very light, 1-2 hours. But if you're gonna have a heavy meal like your dinner, definitely 3-4 hours before you go to sleep. Because if you eat right before you sleep, when you go to sleep, all your body's going to do is it's going to waste all the time trying to digest your food. And during that time, your body's not going to get into repair and reset mode. So we don't want to be eating that late. So in my opinion, 3-4 hours is what I recommend. Another thing that, that a lot of people talk about, and everyone's wearing these cool blue blocking glasses that, they're sort of they look orange, but they block blue light, go figure. Me and Minna, we have a pair. She wears it more than I do. I just can't get used to seeing everything in an orange tinge, but they are great at blocking blue light. And blue light disrupts your circadian rhythms. It disrupts how you go to sleep. It disrupts you going into deep sleep. And unfortunately, when I grew up, we used to have incandescent light, which is, the right wavelengths of light to help you go to sleep more natural, like the sun. Everything has now become LED lights, fluorescent lights, and they're all blue light. And they are, what's the best way to say it? I'm guilty of it. My house was built new with it, and I don't have any choices because they are literally part of my ceiling. But they're almost like a dead light, and it really affects your body. Your body doesn't know when to wind down when it's under blue light all the time. So, if you can control your blue lights, turn them off at nighttime, right? Maybe get a couple of lamps of incandescent light so you can see some natural light. And the other big problem is in this age of technology. Back in the day, we'll all be maybe reading books with a little lamp by the side of our bed. Now, even if we're reading off our iPads or Kindles, right? And that's a problem because once again, blue light, these are blue light emitting devices. Cut back on screen time. That's very, very important. What I suggest is 1-2 hours. That is difficult. Even for me, it's difficult because I'm guilty. I'm one of those that read off my iPad when I go to sleep. That's where I read my books because our bookshelf is just getting too full of regular books. So me and Minna, we have everything as ebooks now. So, for all those that want us to read some of the books, make sure you have a ebook version. And I love to read your book. But, so even with that, you have to figure out how to wind down at least in 1 or 2 hours before you go to sleep, because it's stimulating your brain. It's not allowing you to go to sleep. The next one is an easy one in certain places and very hard in others, is have a lower temperature in your room. Studies around the world show people that live longer, they actually sleep in temperatures of 65 degrees or less, right? And being here in Houston, Texas, where the temperatures get to like the mid 90s, high 90s, sometimes in 100 during the summer, even with the AC on, it struggles to bring it down to 70 degrees. And if you try to bring it down to 65, for those of you that's got these insane AC machines, I commend you for it, but it's going to be pretty dang expensive to lower the temperature down that extra 5 degrees using your AC, right? So I recommend maybe having circulating fans in your room, or maybe even some portable fans in your room to try to bring the temperature down, because as your body temperature starts dropping down, you sleep easier, and that's just a proven fact. For those that can't get cool enough to sleep, what I would recommend, and this may sound counterintuitive, but this really works because it's all about biology, is before you go to sleep, take a hot shower or a hot bath. And if you're taking a hot bath, throw some magnesium calming salts in there, and that's going to help you sleep better because it chills you out. But more so because you're in this very hot water and you get out, your body's going to cool down, right? And as it's cooling down, it's going to put you to sleep easier. So if you can't control the temperature in your room, that's another good way to control the temperature of your body. Another good rule of thumb is no caffeine, right? No caffeine for most people, probably after 3 p.m. For me, I'm not affected by caffeine. I can sleep even with coffee, but for most people, maybe cut the caffeine 2 minutes before. And what I always recommend before going to sleep is make your room as dark as possible. Sometimes, having some blackout curtains will work great, especially in certain areas like Canada or Alaska, where it's bright till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. You really need to shut off those lights. And so it's dark so you can go to sleep, so your body knows when to sleep. And supplements will work, magnesium, calm magnesium, like glycinate's a great way to take some supplements before to sleep. It helps you sleep, maybe even drinking some herbal teas. And for those that really can't sleep, maybe some meditation. For me, me and Minna, we have a meditation app. We use Calm, tell you a little story in this monotonous voice and puts you to sleep, right? Whatever works. The other thing is, try to turn off all electronics around where you sleep. If you can, turn off your Wi-Fi. That'd be a great opportunity. So there's less interference, less EMF that disrupts your sleep. And the thing that I find that helps you sleep the best naturally, and is first thing in the morning, is go out to the sun. Like as soon as you get up and there's sun outside, walk outside, spend the 5-10 minutes out there. And not only does it help you get vitamin D, but it really resets your circadian rhythm and gets your body ready to sleep when the time comes down, when the sun sets, right? And it also helps build your melatonin naturally. So that's the natural ways of going to sleep, and I think these are all great ways. lot of, all of them are free, right? Technically, except maybe turning up the AC, right? These are all great ways to help you sleep without medication, or maybe even to help you sleep with the medication where you can wind it down. Now, when it comes down to biohacks, me and Minna, we've been always searching for better ways to help us sleep, but naturally, I don't want to rely on drugs, right? Even supplements sometimes, or depending on the quality, may not be as good, because I know a lot of people will supplement with melatonin to help sleep. And we still do that occasionally. Back in the day, we don't do that anymore, because we're always trying to, how do you say it, find ways to get your bodies to go to sleep without actually putting anything into it, right? And first of all, of course, no prescription drugs, but more importantly, even supplements, right? Because sometimes supplements may not be as clean as you think, right? Because regulations aren't that high in supplements. And one of the things that we have found in the last 2 years is we've been working with an amazing company, they're part of our protocol, and that company is LifeWave, right? If you've been watching me over this last 2 years, we've been seeing so many amazing results with LifeWave products. And today I want to talk about a specific product called Silent Nights. And, I guess it's pretty self-explanatory. It's called Silent Nights, right? And this is a patch. I'll show you. Let's see if I have any here, which I don't. Okay, what it looks like. It is like a patch right here. I have a X39. That is our patch that elevates our bodies to create stem cells, right? Naturally, it doesn't give you stem cells, but this one is Silent Nights. What it does, this is very interesting. What it does is it helps, at least clinical studies, not me saying it, this is now clinical studies have been done to show that it helps balance your neurotransmitters, right? It balances your hormones, and it's shown to elevate your melatonin naturally, right? And the higher the melatonin you have, the easier it is to sleep. But the other thing it really raises up is your serotonin. So this is so amazing, because this is elevating these neurotransmitters and hormones naturally without medication or drugs, right? Or even supplements. And the clinical studies show that 92% of users that use this, they actually slept longer and have better sleep quality, right? And they actually fell asleep quicker. Like, I don't know about you. Like, for me, I fall asleep pretty easy. Minute may take a little while. That's why we use our meditation apps. But some people may be tossing and turning for 10, 20, 30 minutes, even though you're lying in bed, right? That is basically like the sleep offset latency. And the faster you fall asleep, the longer you're going to have that rest. And this have shown to get you falling asleep quicker, right? And of course, there's non-transdermal. A lot of people ask, what does non-transdermal mean? It means there are no drugs or chemicals that's being absorbed through your skin. It is literally using phototherapy, heat, and acupuncture points to help your body rest, elevate your wellness, help you sleep easier, sleep better, right? And this basically just stimulates your neurotransmitters to sleep. And where you put it, depending on some people, they get better response when it's attached above your waist. Some people have it better response below your waist, and spots that work really well is you can put it on the side of your right temple, right? You can put it on the side of your neck right here, right underneath your jawbone, right? Me and Minna, we like putting it right on the third eye. That's where I like to put it, right? And what you want to do is, these are all acupuncture points that help you sleep. What you want to do is you want to experiment for at least 7 days in one of these spots, right? Don't just keep jumping around, putting in a different place, because this is something that your body's going to take some time to adjust to getting better sleep patterns. Like, their clinical studies show is like 7 to 20 days before your body starts adjusting to the elevated melatonin. Like, this is going to take some time if you have sleeping problems. So this is like not medication. It's not going to put you to sleep. Mind you, we do have some people that put it on and they're out cold. And then, the last one is you can put it on your foot, right? Ouch. The beauty of working at a home, I don't need to wear shoes, right? So like I said earlier, you can put it above your waist or below your waist. But for some people, it works better on your foot, right? So for me, I either put it on the third eye or sometimes I put it on my foot. But these are great ways to help you sleep naturally without drugs, or if you wanted to go the extra route, you already tried all the natural ways I talked about. You already go sleep in cooler room, darker room. You got your medication, music going on, and it's still not working. Try these things out. Try the sleep patches. Because when it comes down to it, sleeping, it's really not optional. It is essential for your health span. It's so essential for your longevity, right? I really believe you should start ditching all these band-aids to help you to sleep. Start ditching these sleeping drugs over time. Remember, work with your doctor on that. No cold turkey, right? Or even some of these supplements that you may be taking. Because like I said, supplements aren't as clean as possible. Make sure you are checking the source, right? Third party, make sure they're as clean as possible, as natural as possible, right? And just try some small changes, right? Put into the comments, sleep better. Let me know, what sleep better. If you want to learn a little bit more techniques or work with me as a coach to help you with your sleeping hygiene, or even leave in the comments, what tips and tricks you use to sleep, right? And I think, when you sleep better, you don't just feel younger. Your body will actually start to function younger too, right? So sleeping is essential for living long, but more importantly, for longevity. I'll see you all next week on our Fountain of Youth with Andy. Goodbye now.